Welcome back, everybody. Just waiting for the gents to come on. Oh, let me just send them a request, actually. Reconnecting. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for coming back on.
Where's my cab?
Welcome back.
Okay. We're back.
Is that my phone?
Yeah? No, that's my phone. Yep.
Yes.
No.
That means you know.
Hey guys. We're back live.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is
Someone
okay?
sit the
It's not.
This is we let yeah. That means live doesn't allow for that. Okay,
You
Mudi's.
give him earphones or something.
Whose phone is that?
It's mine.
Yeah, that's Mudi's. Oh, it's close.
No, that's Melissa's.
Oh.
Cup of coffee. Okay.
Okay, everyone.
Can I just order coffee?
Okay, have some coffee. I'm gonna be sipping on some water while you're waiting for your coffee.
Yes. We got our coffee. Mugs.
Nah, we're not tabangi kupa again.
I need to fit a house, but away. When it's away.
We're not. We're not busy in sending message earlier about somebody go by on Tuesday. So again, I don't have. That's like
Let's see that everybody comes back.
Okay, let's wait for everybody to come back.
Miss Popsy, I see you again. She asked
to me.
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah?
To me.
Yeah, boo.
The numbers that you saw on the first segment, those are the most numbers you've seen in your platform, ne? Give us our props. We're native.
Oh my God.
Yes. That's the best numbers you've seen.
Oh, what?
Give you the ego. What's like you went to give you the ego?
Hey, Mark, those numbers are the best numbers.
There's two sets of numbers.
Yes.
So it's not the most. So you always need to explain numbers. It's not the most numbers I've gotten in terms of people connecting, going on live, but it is the most number in terms of the consistency. People are on for a longer time, because they're interested in the conversation. And for me, that's the part.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah,
and we see regulars. I saw Lindelani. I see you to me. I see you, Miss Popsy. I see Dinkley was back in there. So we just want to shout out our loyal listenership, and people we normally recognize from interacting with the podcast, so
shout out to Taylor, that's family.
Yeah, Marvin was in there.
Shout out Marvin.
Yeah, we see him.
It was me.
Nice.
It was me.
African cocaine,
baby.
What do you say? Welcome back. I always just have to highlight, welcome back. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You have your coffee in your hand. I'm glad you're staying hydrated. It's powerful. It's amazing.
So can we address the previous questions that people asked? I think Miss Popsy mentioned that she at first didn't necessarily agree with some of our takes, but then now through watching or hearing this interview, now understands our thought process, and like Medisa mentioned, we come through with our raw unfiltered thoughts, so they are not perfect. She mentioned why we don't do certain pre-readings, about certain topics, and we come very, very quote unquote unprepared maybe to how it seemed to her. I think what we are trying to do is that we are trying to show where the layman person would be. Yes. and how I try to unpack and work through a problem or a situation to find the best solution, And the thing about a lot of reading sometimes is that people just jump on platforms and just regurgitate what they read. without necessarily understanding what it is that they read. So, yeah.
So for me, I'm not going to speak for the guys. For me, it's very important for a listener to understand that I'm not here to educate. The education that you get from listening to the podcast is a byproduct.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm here to give you an opinion of what I feel about that particular matter. Because when you're asking me to do some pre-reading, you are saying that I should have a deliberate intention to come and teach you something, to come and give you some sort of informed opinion on whatever issue it is that we're discussing. But when I come into a podcast, I'm coming to give you Modise, not your lecturer, right? So the opinions that I give you could be wrong. The facts that I give you could not have been fact-checked. You know, I could be wrong. That's why I always say that we don't promise to be right. I'm here to give you me, my personality,
Wow.
my person, and the opinions that I have, right? So don't come to me expecting a lecture. I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to give you what I think, you know, and you can take from that what it is that you feel. I might do some pre-reading, or I might do some post-reading, and I might come back the next episode walking back whatever it is that I said on the previous. You know?
Yeah.
But I think that the expectation is a bit misaligned, because we're talking here as regular people. The
That's
same
a
way that you
broadcast.
would.
That's
Yeah,
a broadcast.
that's a broadcast. The same way that you would with your people sitting around the brush stand or in your living room or whatnot. The opinions that are coming out of that environment are not always right.
Because I don't know what I'm gonna get after that, right?
Yeah, but these are real people.
Yeah.
And I'm a real person.
Yeah, and but like Modise mentioned, as a byproduct, you will see how we talk through these things. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, as you see us unpack a certain topic, you will see, you know, the input,
shift in thought.
Yeah, a shift in thought from where maybe I started from, but based on what Modise says, maybe shifts me to another certain conclusion, and that is the byproduct of these conversations where the education, quote unquote, education comes from.
Wow. I love that, because then you show up as yourselves. Like you're saying, you know, you can go on YouTube and go and listen to some professor speaking about a particular topic, and that's not what we want. We want real, authentic conversations to say, as you earlier made this, you said it's like a fly sitting in the room, and I think it's so important for the rest of us, the audience, the people who follow you, the fans, to hear these things, because often we don't know. I'm a woman. I don't know what you think about certain things as a man, you know, in South Africa. And now, with that point, one very important thing I want to discuss or unpack with you guys to get your sense on, because I've been having this conversation with friends and, you know, just people around me, is about consensual sex. What is consensual sex?
And I read that question, I was like, what kind of a question is this?
And we've had like a lot of episode where we've, you know, discussed consent
Or the concept of consent.
on the concept, and we've been on you know, various sides of the fence. Like, you know, people who have really listened to us for a long time will tell you, you know, where we used to be and where we are now. But just to answer that on a personal, you know, level, for me, consent is the I'm struggling to find the right words to pack this, but for me,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me say this.
What are my thoughts?
I think in the whole climate of GBV and rape and whatnot, consent, or the concept of consent, has taken center stage because it requires a redefinition. Because I could get a consent in words, and I could get consent in body language, and I could get consent in post behavior.
Post behavior.
Yes. So when I say consent in post behavior, is that
happening.
Thing,
Guys, another
situations
there
that
we
people
go.
go
You guys
through.
were frozen for a moment. You're back
I
now.
have sex
Yes.
with you, and then there's a behavior that you give me after the sex. And if that behavior is positive to me, but 6 months down the line, you can say that that was rape. But to me, it doesn't register as rape because I take your post-activity behavior as consensual. Right?
Oh.
There's no way Mutita Jena would have behaved this way to me.
Okay.
Then there's yes, that's easy. That. But let's be honest, a lot of sex does not happen with words.
Is she still with us?
Are you with us?
Seems stop.
I'm here. Because you guys were frozen at some point, and I was asking the audience if they can still see and hear you guys. So I think that comment was
Okay.
just to say I'm still frozen.
Yeah,
There's a bit of a lag with the video.
Yeah, with the video.
We were connecting on a Bluetooth speaker as well. What I'm trying to say is that in this climate of GBV, we are seeing that the concept of consent has to be revisited and redefined.
Okay.
Right?
I take your view before I comment. I want to hear the other gent's view as well.
My point is, and I think with my life experience, this might be directionally correct. A lot of sex does not happen with words.
I think they're getting us. I
think they're getting us. We just haven't.
Okay.
Yeah,
So a lot of sex does not have, or a lot of consent does not happen in words. But every time we fight about the concept of consent, we rely on words as evidence.
Yeah. I hear you.
Not behavior and not body language.
Okay.
So when somebody comes up and say, Muriso Ranketa so, you also jump on the bandwagon. Now that this consent is being redebated. Yeah, Muriso that day when I went to his house, he never asked me if I want to sleep with him.
So basically what you're getting is a snippet of how we analyze things on the podcast. Because we try to look at, the grays that might appear in a situation, more than the expected black and white, but just to answer your question, for me, I feel, consent needs to be, where both parties understand what's happening, or what is about to happen. And to jump to what Tabang is saying is that intention, who onto what is about to happen, can yeah. So that can be communicated in various ways, because like Tabang said, consent is not always okay. Hey, you go about to have sex, and then the woman says, "I can't be." It's not usually. It doesn't translate that well that way in the real world. I will usually lean in for a kiss, and if you kiss me back, I take that as consent. You know what I'm saying? Or if I touch you here and you don't say anything, I take that as consent. So that's the thing that we try to do in on the podcast, where we then discuss the gray areas that most people aren't comfortable to discuss.
Yeah.
But listen,
Mo?
Asking me
what
is
Actually, before you even say anything, there was a comment earlier on the earlier conversation to say, hey, Modisa nowadays is holding back. Is there a reason why you're holding back in general?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
What is the reason? What is the reason?
he must speak for himself.
I'm in a relationship. Like, I have to.
You're in a relationship. Yes. How old is the relationship now?
I have to be mindful of the things that I say, So I can't exactly have a.
I mean, does that mean now that you're in a relationship, does it mean that there's a possibility of you not being, okay, I don't know, there's some hanging. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I was asking, so you being in a relationship, and not that I want to know the intricate details of the relationship, but you're in a relationship now, does it take away from the podcast itself? Does it mean you could eventually not become part of the podcast because now you are afraid to express your views as part of you being part of the trio? So now if you have to censor, what does it look like?
So what that looks like means that I need to find a better way of phrasing the things that I want to say. Yeah. I can't say them in the same way that I would have if I was just chilling with the guys and I had no one to be accountable to. You know, I need to make sure that whatever it is that I say is respectable and it doesn't make my partner look like, you know, in some or other way, because that's very important, you know. So that might seem that I'm being held back, and there might be things that I don't want to say, not because they shine a light on, you know, my lack of integrity to my partner. It just seemed that if I say it in that particular context, the optics of it look like they look kind of shady, you know, or they might shine a bad light on me or my partner or our relationship. So it's things that I need to sort of navigate and make sure that I don't find myself caught in between them.
Got it.
Sometimes unfiltered doesn't mean encouraged.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Now
you have to have your guard up. It doesn't mean that you are unfiltered. It doesn't. So unfiltered doesn't mean that there's no tact.
Yeah.
Because I think, because unfiltered by banana as well. Unfiltered means the thoughts are raw, but I could have raw opinions, but being guided about it. Like for example, if we have jobs, Mauricio can have a thought about the work environment, but being careful about how will this portray me at my workplace. So he is guarded, but he's unfiltered.
Okay, that's a good one. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I can't admit and acknowledge that the podcast would have been a hell of a lot lit if I could say whatever.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. The podcast would have been more
lit,
robust
if you are not unguarded.
Yeah.
Because I got some shit to say.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, complete sense. Would you say, I don't know if you want to give your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your diplomatic response to what consensual sex is. Before I respond, I mean, I am interviewing you guys, but I also want to just respond to what you guys view it as.
Okay.
Consensual sex to me is not as black and white as people like to put it. I think for the greater part of our society, consent is very much still a black and white thing. Not only for men, but for women too. It just so happens that because of the climate and environment in which we're living in now, that gray area comes with a brunt that men usually have to bear, which isn't necessarily or always fair, because these are relations that a lot of the times involve two parties. But it just seems like a lot of the times that men are the ones that always have to be on the explaining side of it, which I don't necessarily, you know, agree with. You know, there's an explicitly gray area when it comes to consent. You know, we can say that no means no. You know, when you say to me that no means no, as a 33-year-old man, and I've been having sex since I was 18 years old.
In your case, 13.
You know, shut up,
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been having sex since I was 18. Right? I'm 33 right now, and since I was 18, in fact, kana kontabo, love life, tamto, and whatnot, I was already being told that no means no then. Then I'm interacting with women my age at the time. I'm interacting with women older than me at the time or later. I'm interacting with women my age later or women older than me later than that. You understand? And in all my interactions with women, the conclusion that I draw out of my interaction with women over those years is that actually what Life was telling me about no means no is actually not true.
It's incongruent, yeah.
Yeah, it's not balanced.
It's not true. Because more often than not, I've been told that if I get a no and I give up too easily, then it speaks towards my character and my intentions with the girl.
Yeah,
and now the girl is mad at me for having given up too easily.
You didn't want her enough.
Because she said no, yeah.
You didn't want her enough.
So now if I respect her no, then I'm being told that you never really cared about me.
Yeah, you're a weakling.
You didn't want me enough.
You didn't want me enough. You didn't fight for me enough. It means that all you really wanted was sex. Because as soon as I said no, you gave up. And now the media or whoever else is telling me that whenever I hear no, I should hear it, because that's what I'm doing. Because I'm listening to your no, I'm respecting your no out of courtesy to you. But you telling me otherwise. So now the problem with the gray area with consent is that women, because consent is really a concept that's controlled by women. Right. And now the problem with consent is that
there's no consensus.
There's no consensus with women around what consent
looks like,
means and looks like.
Yeah.
And as long as that's not the case, you could find yourself having a definition of consent. You could find yourself having a definition of consent that is harmful to the next woman that I'm going to deal with after you.
True. Facts.
So now by the time I get to her and I treat consent in the same way that you projected it to me, she's going to say that I raped it.
Okay. Wow. That is a wow. All three of you actually are, you know, someone is saying, Lindani is saying that Modise, you're dropping gems, which I totally agree with. And I think, you know, to what Tabang said earlier, that we need to redefine what consent is, because what we've been told it is, I think there's a lot of gray areas. And you guys are men, you know, I'm sitting on the other side of the table where I'm a woman. And, you know, we look at, for me, I always want to look at the root cause of anything. I want to look at the roots, because that's always where, if something is flawed, that's where we begin to fix it. Because we can't come on later and say, listen, later on, let's fix this thing, because then it becomes very hard and almost impossible. So being a woman, the way that we are raised as women, you know, we are always taught to sit pretty and tight and always be decent and always seek to please a man and always, you know, you can't be asking for sex, for example, because if you're asking for sex, you're promiscuous. There are a lot of things that are ingrained in our own psyche. You know, psychologically, I think both men and women, there's a lot that needs to be changed. You guys, obviously being the initiators, what you've experienced, Modise, you're saying it now that a woman later on will say, you respect her no. She says, no. And then you respect that no. And later on, she's like, but dude, you should have tried harder, or you should have pushed more. And you're seen as this wimp, for lack of a better way to put it. My question to you guys is, even with these things that we are highlighting to say, yes, we have to redefine what consensual sex is, and all of these things, but just particularly with what you were saying, Modise, do you think, so the cost, you being a man, the cost of a woman saying you were actually a loser for not persisting enough, is that greater than the cost of a woman coming back to say, actually, you violated me because I didn't want to have the sex with you? Is it not a better cost to bear?
Okay, so I need to weigh my opportunity costs. For me personally, because I'm so averse to the possibility of a woman accusing me of something that I might have perceived as something else, whether your no is real or not is irrelevant.
It's better to walk away.
The mere fact that you said a no is enough.
It's enough. Yeah.
Right. The mere fact that you said a no is enough. So I can say what I'm saying now, but I'm only saying it, or I'm only saying what I'm saying because I'm trying to empathize with the guy that might have gotten the wrong message from the no. I'm only empathizing with the guys that might have got the wrong messages from the yes. Or empathizing with the guys that might have got the wrong messages from the yes and the no. Because they could have received both at the same time. You see, I'm empathizing with that. But I, being the person that I am able to read what the current climate is. So whether you mean the no or not, it's irrelevant to me.
It's better for me to walk away.
Never mind the fact that I'm in a relationship. So I'd never be in that situation.
What? No, wait, what does it mean? When you're in a relationship, why would you never be in that situation?
Well, because even consent applies in a relationship.
Well, yeah, that's a fair question.
Yeah, that's very fair.
That's a fair question. That's a fair question. I walk that back. But the thing got it like this. There's so many. You see, the people that are controlling what the definition of consent is, or the people that are controlling what the definition of what the modern definition of consent is, are a minority. And you don't really have to go far. All you have to do is just get onto Facebook. Just get onto Facebook, and that'll give you an idea of where the country is sitting at right now. And it's just not men. I know that society likes to make it look like it's men. It's not men.
Yeah.
Go into those comments and you will see.
Yeah. And that's what we try to highlight as a podcast. These things or these conversations are so nuanced. Because you know when a topic of consent usually arises is sometimes when maybe there was a victim that comes out, or mama went so I didn't give consent, and then we are all debating this thing, right? And depending on the questions that I might ask, like sometimes what sort of note did you give it? If I ask that on social media, it's like I'm victim blaming, but it's a real question. What sort of no did you give it?
Because I'm being told as soon as I get a no,
it's a no,
and I turn my back and I look the other way.
Yeah, Ricky,
I'm being chastised about it. So now, when you get to the stand in the courtroom and you've been asked those questions, it's made to look as if you're being victimized. But those are legitimate questions based on the environment in which that we came up in as young boys.
Yes,
you have to be asked those questions. They're very important questions.
Yes. So what we're trying to highlight is that, there's work that men need to do, obviously. But there's work that women need to do too.
Sure.
Because as we highlighted, there's not consensus on your side too.
Yeah, because the most important thing that needs to happen is that women need to agree. Women need to agree or come to a consensus that if no really means no, then a no gotta be no.
It's a no.
For all women. Because if you really think about it, the way in which we move and behave is really dictated by women. So if you can't agree on what certain definitions mean, because we really have a gray area. The reason we have a gray area is because y'all can't agree
amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
About what consent looks like.
So, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. Completely understand what you're saying. If we can't make it about, you're saying that we as a collective need to decide this is what consensus is. And for me, how I look at it, and obviously we're sharing our opinions, if I say no, other women may view, for example, let's look at the marital context where you guys are married and, it may be decided in that sort of structure that women, as a wife, you can't say no because, maybe your religious background, maybe you're a Christian, so the Bible says that you can never say no to your husband to have sex. What if, for me as an individual, I go against the collective? Why can't the consent be viewed as just me alone? Why do I have to involve the collective? If I just say no, even as a married woman, even though married women predominantly, because maybe in our society, hypothetically speaking, maybe predominantly there are more Christian women, if I say no as a woman, it should be okay. It shouldn't be because I am the woman that went against the grain and said, look, most women are doing it because they're married. My no should be enough. My no should be enough.
Yeah.
But
you're right.
I don't want to, yeah.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But a lot of the times when it comes to these sort of issues, people tend to overlook the fact that men too are human. Right? People tend to overlook the fact that men too are a product of the environments in which they came up in. Right? People tend to overlook the fact that I behave the way that I do because of certain things I was taught, be it by my father, my mother, or the women that I interacted with. So just the environment. So your no, and whatever it is that your no means to you, might not necessarily mean the same to me. Maybe I was molested, right, by an aunt or a babysitter, and I said no, but that no never registered to that person that molested me. Or someone or a woman that I might have dealt with in my past might have said no to me, right, and I might have heeded that no, only to find out later that that no didn't really mean the no that she meant.
Yeah, you got clowned for it.
You got clowned for it, yes.
Yeah.
I either got clowned for it by my friends or by the very person that told me no.
Yeah, by the very person, mostly.
You understand? And that's why I say that it's really, the thing of consent is that the subject of consent doesn't only affect you. Your definition of consent really affects the next woman
I deal with.
Yeah. You see, as a woman, that's what you need to understand. That's what you need to understand with your dealings with a man, because your dealings with a man really affects how he deals with the woman after you.
Yes.
Because every decision that you make, or whatever uproar or outrage that you have as a result of what a man did, has some repercussions for the next woman that he's going to deal with.
Yes.
Which then comes back to, or at least begs the question that, are you saying the thing that you're saying in order to protect yourself, or are you saying that the thing that you're saying for the betterment of women as a whole? Then the answer to that question dictates why and how you say the things that you say.
Facts.
Because if your no doesn't mean anything, right? It means that the woman after you could very well get raped because of you.
Because of what you did.
Yeah, because of what you
and
did.
your interaction with this man.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to take away any responsibility from a man.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying that in order to ensure that everybody understands that a man is also human. I'm a product of the things that I consume. This woman gave me the impression that her no really meant yes.
Although the responsible thing for the men to do is to avoid anything or any type of consent does not have a yes.
Yeah, it's just that what we're trying to bring to the fore is that there should be accountability on both sides.
There should be accountability
about what happened here.
Because I'm human too, right? So Mudise, as like I'm speaking for myself, I can say, because of the current climate, I can say it doesn't matter what you mean by the no. It really doesn't matter what you mean by the no. As soon as you say no, then it's over. Because I'm saying that the reason I'm ending everything as a result of the no that you said is not because I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to protect myself
against litigation.
Because I've read the rule of the country.
The climate, yeah.
See, I'm trying to protect myself because I can't really be sure what your no means.
Yeah, that's my point, yeah.
No is no, guys. No is no. Like, no is no. No is no.
But that's the thing. No is not no.
Not to all of you.
No. Listen.
Look.
No.
What?
No.
Okay.
In words, no is no. In experience, no is not no.
forget experience because it's clearly messing us up, right? Not that I'm invalidating your thoughts, and I love this conversation because we are being raw and real. Your experience, and that's what I was asking earlier, just in another sense, to say, what is the worst that could happen? If you heard a no and you left it at that, what is the worst that could happen? What is it? Because why can't you just take the no as a no and it's full stop and you're seen as the guy who is weak?
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, right? You as a person, how much of your personality has been dictated by your experience?
A lot. And I'm happy to admit that. And that is why when you walk into a therapist's rooms, they will ask you about your childhood because that's shaped a big part of who you are today. You know, you're an adult today, but maybe what you were exposed to in your foundational years shaped you into who you are today. So I can't divorce myself from that. But I'm saying, you know, with all the experience that we've had, we need to move away from that because we always think based on our experience, because a certain way has worked a certain thing has worked a certain way, therefore it is correct. And I actually had a comment here where Ms. Popsy is saying, why can't you handle every woman as an individual instead of lumping all women into a group? And she even used an example to say, do you buy, if you've met someone, now you, Modisa, you're in a relationship, are you going to do the same things that you used to do in the previous relationship because you think it should apply in this new relationship?
Yeah. Let me give you another example. Let me give you another example, right? Because you speak of therapy. The majority of the country doesn't have access to therapy. You talk about a guy that in a township, he has no access to these concepts that you're speaking of now, right? He's speaking purely based on experience, the same experience that has shaped you as a person, right? But then let's put that aside. Let's put the therapy aside, right? And we're talking about, you know, am I assuming that the woman that I'm dealing with now is going to have the same
taste and preferences,
the same reactions, right? But then how does that differ from how you go on in your day-to-day life? Like it literally applies to every aspect in your life, even to you. If there are certain attributes that a man portrays that you deem as red flags, when you get to the next man, you'll be looking
the
out
same
for
thing,
the same red flag.
Yeah.
You'll be literally doing the same thing because a human is a student of experience.
Yes.
Or of environment.
Or environment. Yeah. Human beings are students of experience or environment. So whatever it is that you learned with me, by the time you get to Des,
you would have learned.
You will have taken some lessons.
That side.
And some of those lessons might not apply to Des.
Individually.
But you'll be wary of them.
Yes. Because you got burnt here.
You'll be wary of them. And this is why, like, this is the narrative that I always try to make sure that we put out there, because there's always this misconception that men are meant to be, and I understand why it's there. I understand because men are transgressors. Men are transgressors. Men are transgressors, right? But what that came with, the transgression that men put out to the world, what that came with is that we were stripped of our humanity. We were no longer allowed to be human. We were no longer allowed to make mistakes. We were no longer allowed to misinterpret things. We were no longer allowed to hold you accountable to the things that you said to me.
We were not allowed to misread.
Yeah, misread the situation.
I was no longer allowed to be a product of my environment. I was no longer allowed to feel like
you were held to idealistic.
Yeah, like somehow. Yes. Or I was no longer allowed to feel like I can be rehabilitated. I was no longer allowed to make mistakes and come back from it. What that happened is that every time I made a mistake, my life was done. That was a full stop.
Or to learn and unlearn certain things that a lot of women had to also unlearn.
Yes, I was no longer allowed to unlearn and unlearn. However, what Des was saying, a lot of women
unlearn things.
In fact, in the age of social media, we have seen a lot of women that really used to be hella toxic, right? Or exhibiting traits that are in line with the toxic masculinity, or what do they call it when a woman is a pick-me?
Yeah,
unconscious
bias.
Misogyny, unconscious, internalized misogyny.
Internalized misogyny. Women that used to exhibit those traits a couple of years ago that have now since learned and unlearned it.
Yeah.
But when a man does that, he's not awarded the same privilege.
Yeah.
You see, I can't learn. I can't improve as a person because of the mere fact that I have a dick between my thighs.
Yeah.
You know, I think you highlight some very important things, and it's true. And I mean, I'm raising a boy child who's 9 years old, and I'm ever so conscious of what it is, because I know that I'm shaping his world as well. You know, I've got a certain responsibility as a parent to try and kind of steer that ship in a certain direction. And I will not get it right, because I also have my own things, how I've been raised. And I think what I'm getting from this conversation is that there's a lot that needs to be done on both sides. It's not one-sided. It's on both sides, just to change a lot of the psychological things. Because, you know, now there's a lot of things happening, empowering women as well, just encouraging women to speak up and out about certain things that we previously weren't able to because, you know, we were oppressed, etc. But we're also leaving the men behind. We're not equipping the men to be able to now deal with this new woman who has been kind of dealt with psychologically from a certain perspective. So I am really happy that we're having this conversation. And I feel like it's such a deep one that I'm going to find a way to have you guys back here so we can dive deeper into these issues, because these are things that need to be spoken about, you know.
Yeah, and that's what we do on the pod. That's what we do on the podcast. So people people who followed us over the years, you know, they know we are not scared to jump and put our necks on the line, you know, discussing these things, you know, that a lot of people pussyfoot around.
And be sacrificial lambs. But by the way, on just the whole concept of GBV, not living GBV or consent, is that, see, we in South Africa define rape in a physical sense. But my experience or my theory is that men are physical rapists and women are psychological rapists.
Oh my God. Okay, elaborate.
Yeah, I'm going to elaborate. So, for example, men use the cards that nature dealt them, which is physical strength, right? Because when you talk about consent, you have to overlay it with warranted and unwanted.
Mm.
In other words, I may have sex with you. That was not consented, but it's not unwanted.
Mm.
It's not consented, but it's not unwanted. So in other words, I am the type of person you want to have sex with. I just didn't get your permission to have sex with you in this instance.
Can we pause?
Yeah.
Do you care to comment on that?
Which one?
What?
On what? What did you say?
On
wanted sex?
On wanted versus unconsented.
Wanted versus unconsented sex.
Unconsented but wanted.
Yes. So we talk about unconsented sex but wanted sex.
Yes.
How do you know? Wait. How do you know what about? How do you know that I want you? What is it that I said? Was it my body language?
Yeah, it could be anything. No. It's that you want bad.
No. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. You see, the question that you're asking is besides the point, because we're asking about you.
Yes.
Cases in which you had not consented, but you wanted the sex. Can you tell us about that?
So the context is that we have not spoken about it, and then things just happen. I'm just trying to clarify so that when I respond, is it what we are in the moment, and then you didn't ask me, and then it just happens? What is it?
Yes. But you wanted it.
The
guy you wanted it with.
Yes. But you were not asked. You were not, and you didn't explicitly consent, but you wanted it. Tell us about that.
Is that rape too?
My question becomes, before I even say anything, because I always need to get to the nitty-gritty, how do you know that I wanted it? It's fine. Where we are not speaking about it, I don't think, for me, I don't think...
No, we're not asking about it. We're not asked about us. We asked about you.
Yeah.
Situations where you did not get consent, but you wanted it, and you gave it up
because you wanted it.
Because you wanted it. Tell us about that.
Academic editing essay is killing me. Saying stop, guys, the whole time.
We can actually move on.
There's a thought I want to finish.
Don't finish on the bone, bro.
No.
Let it cook.
No. What I wanted to say is that men are physical rapists. Women are psychological rapists.
What is being psychological?
Is because if I don't want to have, remember, I made a connection between unwanted and unconsented. Is that how like it's how bad? Oh, you got it somewhere. Oh, I'm not sexy. Oh, I'm this. Then I have unwanted sex. I have unwanted sex with you because you are psychologically blaming me because I know the price I'm gonna have to pay if I don't have sex with you.
The ridicule.
Right? So in other words, I'm having unwanted sex. It's just that the way you got sex out of me was not physical. Whereas a man can have unwanted sex with you, but it was physical. So in terms of the and the law of evidence is that physicality has evidence. Physicality has evidence, but psychology does not have evidence. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Physicality has evidence. That's why a lot of women lose out on rape cases, because sometimes it's difficult to prove an incident that happened in the room where there was only two people. One says it happened, one didn't. It means when I rape you, if there's no scar on you.
Okay, I've got a question for you to your point, right? So you're saying the differentiator is that I, as a woman, can psychologically, what's the word? Not
manipulate. Manipulate a man's sex.
Okay. I can psychologically manipulate you, and then you can physically manipulate me, if that's the word. Can you,
yes.
For me, the question is, based on that, the question is, can I defend myself from physical manipulation, if we have to call it that? Whereas the difference for me is you, the psychological thing, you still can decide. Physical, if you're exerting your power over me, there's nothing I can do. But psychologically, you can decide, you know what? She thinks I'm an idiot. She's going to blow my self-esteem. You can decide.
But now that's when we are speaking about the broad spectrum of rape cases, because not all rape cases look violent. Not all rape cases are the violent, I'm putting you down and I'm taking it. You know? Because sometimes, in my mind, I said no, but, you know, it wasn't violent, but it was rape because I didn't consent. You get? Like it wasn't violent. I didn't put it down, spread her legs and take it. But because she didn't say yes or didn't consent, but the sex happened, you know,
nonetheless.
And she left that experience feeling as if I didn't consent to it and I didn't give myself to it. You know, to her it's rape.
I offered a job opportunity. I said, in order for you to get it, you got to give me the butt cheeks.
Yes, that's rape. It's rape. It's not physical, but it's rape.
But you consented to it.
Yes.
Because you wanted the job.
Yes, but they're hijacking the conversation. All I'm saying is that in case law, physicality is an easier submission of evidence. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying physicality is an easier submission of evidence. That does not mean there's a lot of rape cases that happen that either have a psychological nature or they have no person that witnessed it. And I'm saying men are a subject of psychological rape, but they are perpetrators of physical rape. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying a lot of men have had sex with women because their physicality allowed them. But there's also a lot of men who had unwanted sex with a woman because she was using a tool of psychology, because if I don't have sex with you, I'm not a man enough. But don't say her, are you sleeping with another man? But that's what I'm saying. When you look at consent, you gotta look at wanted versus unwanted, because you're a woman now. There's three of us. You can think this is hot looking, or he's your type, ne? And we are not, and you are single, but you don't tell us that you want this. Then you come across us and we touch your butt cheeks. It's the same action. But you get to decide that theirs is not wrong. You get to decide that theirs is not wrong.
But because
for touching your butt cheeks. But these two are wrong.
Yeah, we could have all touched your butt.
Yes.
You could have all touched your butt. But you're the one that decides.
Which goes back to what Mauricio was saying. If we still dare getting away with touching a woman's butt cheeks as a right behavior, which is what Mauricio was saying, if you allowed me to get away with certain behavior on you, I will extend that behavior to other people. But you've let them down because you've taught me that touching a woman's butt cheeks without asking her is okay. But you as a woman, you can sit there and say, Des, I can't try the bono, but because you want it. But is that consent? It was not consent, but it was not unwanted.
Yeah. I like that. There was no consent,
but it was not unwanted.
There was no consent in Des touching your ass.
But it was not unwanted.
And this could have been in the workplace too, because women are the ones who decide what sexual harassment is and what is not. So if it's a man that you want, that is not sexual harassment, but he did touch your ass without consent. So why is that not sexual harassment?
Because it's wanted.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Yeah, because I don't want for us to like hijack your platform. So I just want to now get down because you have us on podcast mode, and I think we're getting a bit carried away. So I just want to throw the reins back to you and bring us back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know what, guys? I'm loving this conversation and also the comments that have come through. People are laughing. People are saying, you know, this is how we're loving the fact that we get this insight in terms of how you think as men. I mean, I'm a woman. I don't think the same way that you do. And it's quite interesting. And I think, you know, the one big thing I'm getting out of this is that we need to have another conversation of this nature. And I think we need to have more conversations. In fact, even outside of us, outside of you guys and the work that you do on the podcast, I think these are some of the conversations that we need to have because we are bringing each other into each other's worlds. And one of the triggers for me was, why is this consensual sex thing sounding like it's more from a female's perspective? You know, she has to consent. A man also has to consent, like based on the insight that I'm getting. It's important that we view it both ways. So I love the views. You guys are amazing for speaking honestly about these things. And I want us to have more conversations. We'll decide how this is going to happen. But I'm just also cognizant of time. I think we've got, how long? 4 minutes. I know you guys can keep going. You guys talk for like 5 hours.
Yeah, hey, our podcast a lot.
We are podcasting now.
So I think just to kind of close it, to say thank you for just being here and being so real. And I think my audience as well are appreciating the fact that we are sitting here with 3 men who are unafraid to express their views as what you as South African men and what you're experiencing. And I want to urge everyone to go and find the podcast. What platforms are you guys on?
We are on every DSP. Every DSP, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud. You can find us on YouTube.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yes, and how we fund the podcast is that we sell merchandising, so you can support us and you can help support the podcast by buying our merchandise. You know, so go to the Dojo merch store. So we have sweaters, we got a hoodie, you know, so that's how we help fund ourselves so that we can continue doing this thing that we do. And I'm hoping that your viewers and people who got a glimpse of what we, you know, based on the discussion that we just had on consent, that this just gives them a little glimpse of what we actually do on the podcast.
Maybe you should come through to the podcast so we can have a nice chat.
Yeah, maybe you should come. Yeah, you should come to us. You know, and then we can really. Yeah.
I'd love that. I'd be honored to do that. I'd really love that. So you guys will obviously extend the invite. And I wanted to say with the merchandise, thank you for showing that as well, because we didn't have enough time to talk about all the spin-offs from starting the podcast. I've got a sweater, a hoodie myself that I absolutely love. It's white with the red ring. And I've got the, is it a muff? I don't know what it's called, but.
Yes. It's a
yes.
Yeah. Yes.
A muff. A muff. I dig it. I dig it. So thank you once more. I will save it on my IGTV and I'll also share to my stories so that people can also find you, because I think you guys have amazing content and I love the real and raw conversations. Don't change for anything. Keep being real and authentic because we love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And tell people, and that's why we have a podcast, conversations are the new gun.
Oh,
conversations are the new ammunition. We don't need to kill each other. We need to teach each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
We don't have to kill each other. We need to teach each other.
Treat each other.
Thank you so much. And Tabang, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
I don't have wine either.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks to everybody who is here.
Follow us.
Thank you.